Welcome back to Young Smart Money, show number 17 with me, your host, Apple Crider, the show where we bring on young people who are doing amazing stuff, both financially and entrepreneurially. We talk to them, we figure out how they got to where they're at, and what advice they would give to you as a young person who's trying to figure out what you're trying to do with your life financially, or maybe start something entrepreneurially. Really just get these skills and these ideas down from the get-go so you can make the best decisions for yourself going forward. So today, we have a very, very special episode that I'm very excited for, and it was really one of my favorite interviews so far, if not my favorite of all time. And who we're talking with is actually an old teacher of mine. Her name is Karalyn Swanson, and she was an old teacher of mine back in elementary school and middle school. And what she's up to right now is actually very, very interesting and something that I'm very interested in learning more about, and that is network marketing or multi-level marketing. So there's a lot of misconceptions that go along with multi-level marketing. There's a lot of people have these huge thoughts either one way or the other. So we really tried to give an unbiased opinion and break this down as much as we could, because I know personally I've been pitched a lot of multi-level marketing business opportunities, and I just sort of wanted to get a basic understanding of it from somebody who's been doing it and been doing it for a while. She's actually been doing this with this same company for over 6 years now. She was doing it part-time while she was teaching, and then she transitioned to full-time actually just a couple months ago. So we sort of talk about that transition for her, how she was able to do that. We just covered so much stuff as far as network marketing goes. So if you've been curious about this at all, if you're really pro network marketing, if you think it's a pyramid scheme, this episode is for everybody. It's going to give you a great basic understanding of what network marketing may have to offer, sort of how it works, who it's right for, and sort of where people get mixed up in the whole network marketing thing. Now, I'm gonna say I'm not a part of any network marketing businesses right now, so just a disclaimer on that. I'm not trying to promote it. I'm not trying to say it's a good thing. I'm not trying to say it's a bad thing. I just wanted to sort of give you guys an overview, because when I talk about network marketing with people, I really do get a ton of strong reactions either one way or the other. So I think this episode will really help to sort of give people a basic understanding of sort of what network marketing actually is, how it actually works, because I think that is just something that not a lot of people actually understand. So without further ado, let's bring in Karalyn and get to the show. Welcome to the show, Karalyn.
Thank you.
Could you give the audience a bit of a background on yourself, just sort of what you do, what sort of stage in life you're at right now, and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, totally. Hey guys, I'm Karalyn. I also go by Cassie in my business, and you're actually catching me at a really interesting stage in my life. So I had been a teacher for 14 years, and I actually just quit that this past spring to pursue my business full time. Love teaching, but really my passion was just in entrepreneurialism and going out and trying to create more of a bigger following than what I could do as a teacher. My background, I have an undergrad in art history. I'm actually pursuing my MBA right now, so Master's in Business Administration. Hoping to become a business professor on a part-time, hobby-based basis. Again, just really interested in spreading the word of entrepreneurialism. Anything more on that topic?
I think that's good.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you very much. That's really cool. I didn't actually know that you were interested in being a professor. I knew, I met Karalyn. She was my after school teacher back in elementary school and middle school. Actually, is where we first met, and now we're sort of reconnecting over entrepreneurship and just that sort of thing. But that's very interesting. I didn't know that you were sort of interested in going back and teaching again. That's really cool. And that's sort of why we're here today, is to sort of talk about her transition sort of into this more business and entrepreneurial space, and more specifically on network marketing is the thing that we're going to dive into. Okay, so for people out there who aren't familiar, could you give them a brief introduction to network marketing, sort of what that means and just how that sort of works?
Yes, definitely. Yes, so network marketing really is just exactly what it says it is. You are marketing to your network. So your network would be friends, family, coworkers, anybody that you have a rapport with or a relationship with. And I will just add too, so the structure of it works essentially like you are building through people. So say somebody buys your product and decides that they also want to become a business representative or a consultant with your company too. It essentially just means that they have bought a position in the company. They become a partner essentially, where they get the opportunity to go and share this idea and market it to others and earn commissions for it. So I would say personally, from a business standpoint, if you are thinking about starting up a business, in my belief, there are about 3 main ways you could do that. So the first one would be your typical brick and mortar company.
Sure.
So you're looking at buying or renting a spot and then running your business out of that location.
Sure.
The average person spends about $30,000 to $300,000 to buy and start up that brick and mortar company. It takes such a diligent person to say, I'm going to invest $30,000 to $300,000 to start up this company, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got the other alternative where you've got franchising. So franchising, you're also buying a brick and mortar, but there's a system already in place. So the best example I have would be McDonald's.
Exactly.
You know, there's already a system where they have a hiring process, they have a training process, you have answers that are already in place so that you know how to handle things. But again, it's a really large investment. It's $1.2 million right now to buy a McDonald's.
Jeez.
And then again, you got to put in the work to make all your money back and then be in the profit.
Yeah.
Network marketing is, I feel like, an amazing opportunity because the risk level is so low and the investment level is so low. The average network marketing company, I feel, is between $300 and $3,000 to start up.
Okay.
And it can still give you all the benefits of being your own business owner and owning that brick and mortar, but you don't have to worry about things like employees or equipment.
Yeah.
It's all done online. It's done out of the basis of your home or wherever it is that you're traveling to. Because I work in a travel network marketing company, sometimes I work from the beach. But ultimately, you know, I have all those same benefits, but the risk is so much lower. But the cool thing about it is that it's also a great opportunity for you to learn about business without that high risk investment.
Yeah.
So, you know, $300 to $3,000, you can build a multi-million dollar business, but do not have to worry about all of those extras that you would have to as a brick and mortar company or as a franchise.
Yeah.
The marketing piece, actually the very first thing I learned in my MBA program was the difference between sales and marketing is sales is where you're selling something so that the salesperson benefits. Marketing is doing the opposites, where you are selling something so that the customer benefits. And so that is exactly what network marketing is where we are marketing something that we feel like would benefit our networks.
Exactly.
So for me personally, I am in a network marketing company that specializes in, we sell travel memberships. So my business base would be people who want to go travel more, who want to see the world, spend time with their families. And then the concept of network marketing was actually established back in the late 1800s. Wow. So I know, it goes back really far, doesn't it?
Interesting.
Yep. So there was a gentleman who was a door-to-door salesman, and he was traveling around selling makeup to stay-at-home women. And he noticed when he was going in and, you know, giving out his samples that the women would invite their friends over and would share the samples with their female friends. And he had looked at that and said, you know, they are really good at just communicating and being able to sell to their friends without even trying to sell to their friends. They just share, you know, the product and how it works for them. And so he decided to start recruiting these women as his sales representatives. And he thought, you know, I can only sell so much makeup, especially because I don't wear it myself.
Exactly.
And so by doing that, he had recruited some of these women to go out and essentially sell to their friends, but more just share with their friends, you know, the beauty of the industry. And it ultimately became Avon. So that is the very first network marketing company.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. I knew they'd been around for a while, but I didn't know that's how they started.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. So is network marketing different than multi-level marketing or an MLM? Because I'm sure a lot of people have heard of MLMs, maybe they haven't heard of network marketing. So can you talk a little bit about if those are the same thing, if those are different, and sort of like what the terms mean?
Yes. Yeah, so from my understanding, they are interchangeable. I think given that there's different business systems right now, network marketing, it really just is a play off of multi-level marketing, but essentially it's the same thing. You are marketing to your network. In multi-level marketing, there's different levels. So you would, recruit somebody to then go share it with their network. The same thing is true in network marketing. It's just you're getting into other people's networks.
Okay, cool.
Same thing.
Cool. Yeah, I was curious about that. I wasn't totally sure, and it's good to know that those terms are pretty interchangeable. So now that we have like a basic idea of what network marketing actually is, can you talk a little bit about the controversies? Because I know there's a lot of controversy going around with network marketing. When I mention it to my peers, to my family, they definitely have some like connotations in their head about what that means. Specifically, people thinking that it's sort of like a scam, and it's a way to sort of just like trick your friends into buying stuff from you, and then you just sort of leave them there. So
got a lot of controversy going on.
I hear a lot of things, a lot of different people talking about that. And personally, I don't believe it's a scam. I believe that it's a legitimate business model, depending on the company, of course. I mean, there's bad eggs in every type of company. But can you talk a little bit about why you think this might be a thing that's spread, if you've heard similar things like this before?
Yeah. Yes. Well, the very first thing I want to say is that there is a difference between network marketing and the scams, the pyramids, the Ponzi schemes that we hear about. So, a pyramid is an exchange of money without a product or service. So if you get involved in something and there's no product or service, then you know that it is illegal. You only make money off of selling that product or service. We've definitely heard of the Ponzi scheme, right? So Charles Ponzi back in the 1920s would recruit investors and then use their money to pay next month's investors. And it was just a recruiting system. There was actually no product. There was an imaginary product that nobody ever saw. So that essentially became what's known as the Ponzi or pyramid scheme. If you get involved in a company and there is a legitimate product, say for example, Mary Kay, they sell makeup, Herbalife sells health supplements, you know that it is a legitimate company. And I will say, so my dad actually sold Herbalife for 25 years. Wow. That was how we made our living. He was very successful at it. And they actually did have a lawsuit pushed against them for being a pyramid. They won their case. So Herbalife became famous for the company that proved that there is a difference between network marketing and a pyramid scheme. So just know that that is true. The interesting thing, so you had sent me the questions beforehand and I read through them, and that was the one that really resonated with me, because I looked back on my last 6 years that I had been doing this, and I thought, my first 3 years, I got the scam comment, the pyramid objection, the Ponzi scheme over and over again. And then these last 3 years, I do not even recall hearing that for the last 3 years. Nobody says that to me. It is interesting, and I started thinking back on what has happened in my life these last 3 years that is the case. And 6 years ago when I got started, I was working in the school district. I was a teacher. I was making $50,000 a year. All of my social circle was in that same bracket. We're all middle class. We're all making about the same amount. We all had grown up together. And again, I had gotten that comment numerous times, but now these last 3 years, I have, been very successful in my network marketing company. I associate myself with entrepreneurs, multimillionaires, doctors, lawyers, people who I think are on a different caliber that have seen the success of network marketing, and who know that it is a legitimate business, who can see that the people who do put in the effort make the money. And I think you're also seeing people who, doctors, lawyers, they put in effort, they make money, so that it just puts you into a different bracket where you don't hear that comment anymore. So I guess the question is, if that is a mainstream comment, who's your mainstream? Who are you hanging out with? Who are you associating with? That is a general conception. Is it the people who knew people who were unsuccessful, who stayed working in their same jobs? Or is this the people who worked hard, got out, and actually, made 6-7 figures? So who are you associating with, I guess, is the bigger question.
That's very interesting. I definitely think that there's a huge difference between the people who have that more open mindset and realize sort of the opportunities that are available to them, as opposed to the people who think a 9-to-5 is the only way to go, and they just sort of fall into the middle class lifestyle. They don't really look for anything else. They just sort of think this is life, this is how it's going to be, this is how it was for my family, so this is how it's going to be for me. So I think that's very interesting that once you started associating with a different circle, you sort of stopped getting that comment, and I think that's very eye-opening, for me at least. So the second idea that I sort of hear a lot about multi-level marketing or network marketing is sort of that it's a passive income stream without any work required. So this is sort of the other end of the spectrum. Some people are like, wow, this is terrible, this is a scam, there's no way to be successful here. The other people are like, wow, this is the easiest thing in the world, I can just go and make a Facebook post and make a couple $1,000s. So can you talk a little bit about this end of the spectrum as well, and the people who think it's sort of just like a quick way to make a buck?
Yes, definitely. Well, I think we are all just mesmerized by the glamour of it. You know, we see the successful people, we see the people who are making millions in network marketing and look at that and say, I can do that too, right? Everybody wants to believe that they can do it too, but you don't see all of the background behind it, you know, all the effort that got put into it. And we do come into network marketing in different stages in our lives. I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned out of this. So like I said, you know, some of my mentors were very successful before they saw network marketing. The one that I look up to the most, his name is Dr. David Peach, is actually from Woodbury, Minnesota, to be more specific, but he was a doctor when he saw this, and he had also done network marketing in his previous career. And when he got started in our company, he had hit the top rank, so the top rank makes $550,000 a year on average, and he had hit it in 10 months. Wow. And I think we look at that and say, oh, if somebody did it, I can do it too. But what we don't see is that, you know, he had also gone through the steps necessary to achieve success. You know, success is really something that it is built on determination and hard work, and you need to learn those skills to be successful in anything that you do. Oh, yeah. And so again, we see the glamour of it. We see something that somebody had accomplished in such a short amount of time and think it's possible, I'm going to do it too. But as Dr. Peach described to me and my teammates, he said, the network marketing to be at the top rank in a company is the equivalent of getting a doctorate. Wow. It really is, and I can attest to it. I was actually, before I had seen network marketing, that same week to be exact, I had applications in to pursue a PhD. I was going to become an art curator, travel the world and buy paintings for museums. That was my goal. And so when I saw network marketing, I thought, well, that's actually a better plan, you know, unlimited income, flexibility with my time. Still traveling the world. Get to go visit museums now instead of work for them. But it is of the same caliber. I mean, I knew that going into getting a PhD was going to be very time consuming. It was going to take sacrifice and hard effort. And that is what network marketing has been for me. I would say 98% of people will try network marketing and 2% of people will be successful at it. But I think that's very true in many things.
Yeah. And I totally agree with that. I think a lot of people, they'll see the destination, but they won't see the journey. Like they'll see somebody at the top or somebody who's now a successful doctor making hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they'll say, oh, okay, I just have to go through school and I can do that, no problem. But they don't see all the hard work that went into that and all the struggle and the journey and stuff that it took to actually get there. So I think that's very important to look beyond just where the person is standing now and sort of how they got to that place.
Ooh, can I add something to that as well? Something else to think about too is I feel like starting up your own business, whether it's network marketing or anything else, it really does expose your weaknesses. Yeah. And so, you know, we all come to the starting line at different places. You know, say that if you want to be successful in network marketing or a business just in general, and that's, you know, the goalpost, then leading up to it, you know, some people start just at different parts, you know, on the field. You know, the doctor I was telling you about obviously started like 1 foot from the goal line from what he'd done in the past. Me as a teacher, you know, I'm like almost in the stands from where I'm starting. Very little network, very little influence, credibility. Was in debt when I saw this. I didn't know anything about money. But you can learn, and I want to say that network marketing really does give you the opportunities to develop yourself as a person, develop yourself as a leader, so that you can get closer and closer to the goal line. And it is achievable for anybody who's willing to put in the work and effort.
I think that's very valuable, and what you said before about how 98% of people are going to try it and give up and 2% of people are going to stick with it. I think that rings true, again, in a lot of places, and people just sort of have to have the self-awareness to know if this is something that's going to work for them, if they have sort of the self-starter gene to actually like push through it and actually put in the work to make it happen, because if you come in thinking it's a get-rich-quick scheme and you're not willing to put in any work, well then that's not going to go well for you, because you're just going to give up right away. Once you put in those first couple months and you're not doing as high hot as the next guy over, you're just going to say, well, this isn't for me. I give up. This is a game that I can't win. So I think that's really important to realize. You got to look in yourself a little bit and realize if this is something that's right for you, and if this is something that you're going to be willing to stick with through the hard times, because there's definitely going to be hard times in any business that you try to start. So now that we have the basics of sort of the business model down, could you sort of talk a little bit more on your personal experience that you've had with network marketing, and sort of how you started 6 years ago, and then how you've been able to grow it to a place where it's now your one of your main gigs?
Yeah, as I said, so I was a teacher when I saw this, and to be honest, I had zero interest in doing the business. I love the product. My brother and sisters were the ones who showed this to me. Obviously, I was in their close network, and I loved the travel. Like I said, we sell travel memberships into a VIP vacation club, and I wanted to go see the world. Yeah. And we have a big giving back component. I wanted to go do missionary work around the world, so that was really important to me. The business side of it, at least from my personal end, what my brother and sister had said to me is, if you love the product and you're going to use the product, and coming from vacations, if you're going to travel, what do you do leading up to the vacation? You talk about it. Yeah. When you're there, you post pictures and videos, and you share what you're doing. And when you come back, everybody asks you about it. So really, they sold me on the idea that if I was going to do something anyway, use the product anyway, I may as well earn commissions for it. So that's actually why I got started in the business. I was 6 days into doing the business, and I went to my very first training. It was done by a man named Brian Brown, who's known as the leader of the Rat Pack, retired at 20. There's a group of college students out of Colorado who started in our network marketing company, and by the time they graduated, were earning so much money passively that they didn't even have to go get jobs. And so I'm listening to this gentleman speak, and he was explaining that, at least in our industry, he had said that, our product is vacations, and he says, and our business is network marketing. And you put those two together, and if you look at what the economy is doing today, you've got the millennials who are graduating, huge group, don't want to go out and get those 9-to-5 jobs. They want to do something different, something impactful. And then you've got the baby boomers who are retiring at 10,000 people a day. They're driving the economy's dollars, spending 2/3 of the economy's money on healthcare and travel. So I personally like travel better than healthcare. But he says if you put those two together, you are literally in front of a wave that is coming, and let's just ride the wave. Yeah. And I thought, that is the most brilliant concept I have ever heard of in my entire life. And so I went home and I canceled all my applications to graduate school, and I said, I am not going to be an art curator, I'm going to be a network marketer. So that is how I got started in this. My first year doing this was rough. I am not going to lie. I was nowhere near the goalpost when I saw this. I was so far back, I couldn't even see the goalpost. My family was very excited about it. I came from a network marketing family. So my brother and sister had sponsored my whole family into this. So luckily I was very fortunate to get to do this with my family. They saw the vision of it. My friends and coworkers, on the other hand, were not supportive. I heard pyramid left and right. But you have to think of who you're listening to. And so I've got on one hand all my friends and all my friends and coworkers who are, in debt. They can't find the jobs that they want. They're making an undesirable income. And then I saw my family. I had seen the successful people who were doing the network marketing and doing it well. And I thought, I can listen to multimillionaires who are supporting this, or I can listen to, the people in my current network who are not, and keep what they have. And I really just decided to become better at it. And it took time, it took effort, but I will say it was definitely a journey that is attainable, and stuck it out. And 6 years later, I've been on 70 vacations through our company. It's paid off all of my debt. That was so huge to me. I've actually have investments now, turned it into where I can manage my money. I have more money coming in, luckily, than I know what to do with. So I feel very fortunate that I've been able to accomplish that. We have a BMW bonus that I qualified for in the company. I'm earning passive income to the point where I was able to walk away from my teaching job. So anything you want out of this is definitely attainable. You just have to put in the work.
That's huge, and clearly you've made a huge like journey from where you started and that first year of hearing pyramid left and right. But that's I mean, that's what it's all about. You got to stick it through, because so many people they would go through that first year and they would say, wow, this is nothing. I can't do anything with this. Nobody's going to listen to me. But being able to figure out who you want to listen to and listening to the people who are where you want to be, I think that's so critical. And I'm trying to do a lot more of that myself, which is one of the reasons why I try to interview a lot of people that I look up to on the podcast, is because I want to talk to people who are in the places that I want to get to. I don't want to talk to people who are all full of talk and they haven't actually done anything. I want to talk to the people who are taking action on the things that they care about and that are taking them to places they want to be. So I think that's really important, to sort of audit who you're listening to and make sure that it is the people who are in the places that you are looking to get. So you said that you were planning on getting your PhD, planning on being an art curator. So my next question is sort of, did you always know you wanted to start something on your own? So maybe did you have any entrepreneurial things going as a younger person? Maybe as a kid, were you like all about lemonade stands, or sort of like, did you have any entrepreneurial experience before you started with network marketing?
Very little. The only thing I had seen was, like I said, my dad had sold Herbalife for 25 years. So I knew of the industry. I at least knew like it was a legitimate concept. But I had also seen all the work he put into it too. Yeah. No entrepreneurial desires whatsoever in the beginning. It was not based on that. And even to this day, the money is not what drives me. I feel like my destiny is just to go give back on a larger scale. So having chosen the teaching industry, I loved that I was making a difference, but I felt like I was making a difference for 30 students a year. And not to say that is small at all. That is such a noble career. But this industry has opened my eyes to the idea that I can touch so many more people, and I can't just do it alone. Like, understand that wealth building is a team sport. Anytime you want to make an impact or go on a mission, it is a team effort, and I cannot do this alone. But my goal is to be able to reach 300,000 people, 3 million people. Something that really resonated with me is that so having been in the teaching industry for so long, I actually learned how the teaching industry came about. It was 1903, and John D. Rockefeller was looking at the nation, and he saw that there was no public schools. You had the wealthy who were able to privately educate their children, and then you had anybody who was in those middle lower classes who just weren't getting educated at all. And so it is a conspiracy theory, but I do believe that there is definitely some legitimacy to it, where he started the National Public School Foundation, which allowed everybody to go to school. But think about what they were taught. So they were taught things like, how to be punctual, how to do as you're told, how to follow rules. And essentially what he was creating was an army of people who would be able to go and then work in his factories. Yep. And a few years later, you have all the other big names joining in. You've got Ford, Vanderbilt, people who are also looking at this like, yes, let's use our influence and our money to go control the rest of the nation. And now to this day, we still follow that same education setting where we are in schools and we're taught, go to school, get good grades so you can get into a good college and get a good job. But what do you get as working in a job? You are an employee. You're working to build somebody else's dream. Yep. And if that is your goal, that is just fine. I do not want to harp on that at all. But it doesn't teach you skills to go start your own dream. Not at all. The failure rate in the U.S. is 95% for anybody who wants to start up a business, because we did not learn the skills on how to become business owners. We learned how to be employees. So my goal, having been a teacher for 14 years and seeing that that's what I had been teaching, my goal is just to go back and say, I'm sorry, I taught you wrong. That's why I want to become a business professor as well, is to be able to prepare students for getting out into the real world and how to develop time and money freedoms that are not available to employees. As an employee, you work for someone else. You are told when you can take vacation. You are told, when you're supposed to be there, when you get to leave, when you get to eat. Yeah. And I don't like that idea. I think everybody should be able to have time and money freedoms to do the things that they want to do. So that is ultimately my goal. That is my mission on why I do this. Again, it has nothing to do with the money. The money is just a bonus.
Yeah.
But I want to make an impact, and ultimately I want to make a dent in the education system of America.
Yeah, wow, that's a very noble mission you're on, and I'm definitely on a very similar path with my YouTube channel, trying to teach people about entrepreneurship, investing as young people, because I think it's so crucial. Because, like you said, the school system really does prepare you to be a good employee. It doesn't prepare you for much else besides that, just because that's really, I mean, like you said, that's really sort of kind of a conspiracy, but like how it was designed to function, because, I mean, they're training up an army of employees, and you're not sort of learning the business skills, the personal finance skills, anything to sort of establish yourself. You're just learning how to work for somebody else. So I think that's a really good mission that you're on, to sort of educate people on the fact that they have other options. Like, it's not like so many of my peers just think that like the thing to do is to go to school, get good grades, go to college, get a good job, and then work 9 to 5 for the rest of your life. So I think just showing people that there are other options, and there are other ways to sort of create an income for yourself and spend your time, I think that's really valuable and a really good thing for people to know, because it's just my big thing is, again, I'm not trying to tell anybody how to live or like that they should go start their own business, because I mean, obviously that's not for everybody. You got to know yourself. You got to know what you like doing, what's going to work for you. But just knowing your options and being able to make the best decision for yourself, I think is such a valuable thing to have. So as far as day to day, what do you actually do in your business? Like you said, you've been on over 70 vacations with this company, but what do you actually do like in your day to day work?
Yes. So I would say, when I first got started, those last 6 years even, because I just quit my teaching job in June. So for those first 6 years, I was building this on a part-time basis. And was probably putting in 5 hours a week, I would say, so very, very part-time. And it didn't grow as fast as I wanted, so I would say the more energy and effort you put in and the more time you put in, the better, the more money you'll make, so it makes sense, right? I think the biggest thing that held me back, though, was because I loved my teaching job so much, and it was something I was so passionate about. I worked with students who I felt like needed me, and so I wasn't able to put in the time and energy to this company that I wanted to. So for the first 6 years, I did this very part-time, nights and weekends, would do business presentations. This last spring, I actually had an epiphany where every spring I would meet with my supervisor and we would talk about how to grow our education program. So my job was, I was the community outreach person. I would work with the community in the school to establish programs where students could learn, community partners could come in, and we could work with students. And every spring I would meet with my supervisor and we would go over how to expand upon that. And so I had met with her on a Friday this past spring, and we had talked about ways that we were going to expand and had set up a plan, meaning I was going to work more next year, of course. And that Saturday, so the next day, I went to an entrepreneurial training where I heard from a gentleman who's from Hibbing, Minnesota, multimillionaire, and he says, I live my dream life. I get up when I want to get up. I book a one-way trip and come back when I'm bored. I am absolutely blessed. And I thought, everything you are describing is everything I want in life. So why am I working so hard to keep a job I don't want? And I walked in on Monday and I quit. Wow. I didn't have any other plans. It was just a moment where I thought, you want this business to work. You want to be able to vacation for a living and come back and share that with the world. Why are you working so hard in a job that's not going to get you that? So it was all on faith. I quit, but that was the turning point that I needed. So, I had been earning not a significant amount of money those past 6 years. These last few months have just been a turning point for me. So my day-to-day consists of, I get up when I want to get up. I try to do 3 to 5 appointments a day is my average. So they say that's full-time. Essentially, our appointments are 30 minutes. So my full-time work is like 2 to 5 hours. So I do a lot of social media marketing, so I travel a lot. I find I average 1 vacation a month. I post pictures of my vacation. I try and post positive quotes online. Just develop a following through social media, so then I'll reach out to them on a daily basis, probably 5 to 10 people a day, just who are following my posts, see how, their lives are, if I can do anything to benefit them, either from a product standpoint or from a business standpoint, so do a lot of interaction that way. I also go out and I network, so I meet with people. I'm walking around running my errands on a daily basis, so I'm just meeting people out and about, and if we strike up a conversation and I think you'll either benefit from the product or be a good business partner with us, I'll set up a meeting and do those appointments. And then our nights are where we have get-togethers, mix and mingles, networking events where a bunch of us from around the Twin Cities will get together and we'll invite out anybody who wants to learn more about our product. We call them travel parties. Mary Kay would call them makeup parties or, Tupperware parties. And we just use that as like our social proof event. So anybody that we've shown throughout the day, we meet one-on-one. I show them my business opportunity and my product. If they liked it and want to learn more, then we just invite them out to the travel parties at night. So essentially my day is very flexible. I pretty much get to plan out what I want to do, and then look forward to booking my next vacation.
That sounds ideal. I mean, just like being able to talk with people and connect with people every single day. That's really what I aim to do as well. I think just being able to have those actual connections with people it must be a very, very powerful thing. And just I really enjoy networking and meeting new people, so I think that's really cool. But as far as like skills that you need to be successful with this, definitely it sounds like you need to be a people person if you're having all these conversations and striking up conversations with people and networking all the time. But about sales and marketing skills, how important do you think these are in somebody being a successful network marketer? Like, do you think that, it sounds like you didn't come in with that much business experience, so definitely it sounds like you can learn, but do you think these skills are pretty crucial to your success here?
I would say I spent the first 5 years of this, of my career doing this, getting good at sales, and it was a waste of my time.
Really?
You do not need to be good at sales in this. It is not a sales business, because what happens with network marketing is that you build through networks. So like I said, I want to be able to share this with, as many people as I can, but I want them to share that with their networks. And it's not through sales, it's through relationship building, it's through learning how to work with people. Yeah. Nobody buys the product because they want the product. They buy it because they like you and they trust you and they want to work with you and do what you're doing. So ultimately what had happened is I became really good at sales and I was able to sell the product. It created a low-paying sales job for me because it meant I was putting in a lot of time and energy trying to sell a product, but that it stopped at me. So what happened is that because I was a teacher and most teachers have the summer off and they all want to travel, most of the teachers I know have this product now. They all travel with me and that is wonderful. I love having teachers travel with me, love having people who travel with me. But the ultimate goal of network marketing is to be able to build through people. So you want as many people not only using the product, but talking about the product. And so if I got good at sales, I could sell the product, but it stops there.
Yeah, they're not passionate about it.
Right. Well,
with their network.
I also, want them to be spreading the word as well. Creating an army of people that are going out and showing people how to, vacation more, create more memories with their family, have more time and income coming in. And so getting good at sales didn't do that for me. But building those relationships, so now, because I'm starting to get better at that, I have people who are around me more often who are seeing the lifestyle that I'm living and who want that too. And so they're actually going out and starting to spread the word more because they're with me on a day-to-day basis. And so ultimately my goal is to have a bunch of people around the world who are starting to become mini me's who want to go share that and spread the word with people.
That's really, really cool. I think that's very eye-opening because I think, yeah, a lot of people think it's a very salesy thing where you're just trying to like get people to sign up and whatever. But yeah, I think that's really key, like what you said, like selling through people, not just selling to people, and being able to get people passionate about it and get people spreading the word, because if it stops at them, then again, you've got a low-paying sales job that's probably not the most fun thing.
Can I add something to that too? So something that it kind of reminded me of that I really did feel like I took to heart when I started building this was somebody had mentioned Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So think back in the 1960s, he obviously wasn't the only person talking about civil rights. We think he was because he's the only one who really gained recognition, but everybody else was always talking about, you know, I have a plan to go do this. I have a way that we can go do this. And it's not necessarily that you need to have all the know-hows to do this. It's having the vision, having the belief that I have an idea that I want to spread to the world. And so kind of piggybacking on that, you think back to Martin Luther King Jr. and the famous I Have a Dream speech. Yeah. It was very underground. It didn't take, you know, radio ads, or they didn't post flyers about it. It was literally an army of people who believed so wholeheartedly in what he was doing that they went and they shared it with their friends and family, and they spread the word. And I can't remember the exact number, but I want to say over 1 million people showed up to hear the I Have a Dream speech. Wow. Just through word of mouth. Wow. Because if you believe wholeheartedly in something, you're going to go talk about it. Exactly. So essentially, that's what you want. You want to create a following of people who believe in your idea, who believe in your dream and your vision. And that has nothing to do with sales. You're not selling people on that. You're just saying, this is what I believe. Do you believe it too?
I like that a lot. And so you mentioned posting on social media, and it sounds like that would be a great way to sort of get people on board, get people excited, and get people sort of, through like the word of mouth thing again. It's just like, so how important is social media to you in your network marketing?
So for me, social media has made up about 25% of my network. Okay. When I got started, I feel like, you know, I say we sell a product, but essentially it goes beneath that. You know, for example, with me, I feel like I sell a lifestyle. In network marketing, you know, we offer ultimate time and money freedom. That's ultimately what I'm selling. Yeah. So I show people that I have time to go do what I want to do. I show people I can, you know, have the money to go travel. And people see that on social media. I never go post like, join my network marketing company. Yeah, it's very subtle. Yeah. We like to say we drip on people. Yeah. So, you know, I probably post 2 to 3 times a week. I could probably post more, I should. But it's always, I'm about to go on a vacation, I'm on a vacation, or I just got back from a vacation is our motto. And through that, it's been very effective. I just got back from Thailand and Bali. I spent 3 weeks touring around Southeast Asia. And when I came back, my business partner said, I think you broke the internet. I had been posting so much every single day about people's bucket list items. You know, seeing an elephant sanctuary, getting to pet a tiger, being chased around by monkeys. And people were just reaching out to me nonstop, like, tell me what to do. How are you doing this? How are you always traveling? So you want to create curiosity. You want people to see the lifestyle that you have and to ask you about it.
Yeah. So coming back to that, I got a couple thoughts here. So that's actually where I first reached out to you. I mean, you had reached out to me and connected with me on Facebook a couple months beforehand, and I was meaning to get in touch with you because I just want to know what you were up to. But then I saw these posts from Southeast Asia, from Bali, with tigers and elephants and monkeys and stuff, and I was just like, what is your occupation? What are you doing? How are you living this life? And then, like, I went to your profile and it wasn't super obvious. Like, it said you were an entrepreneur. It said you were, like, doing your own thing, but I was still, like, very unsure. So then I reached out to you and we got in contact and I talked and we had a meeting and stuff. But I think that's a very effective way, like, piquing people's curiosity. Seems like a very, very effective way to go about things. And I also noticed you guys have like a sign that you have in your pictures that was like, I think it says you should be here. You should be here. Yeah. So that also got my curiosity. I was like, what is this sign about? So I think your social media is very effective in doing that, and I can see why he said you broke the internet with all your posts, because those were just ridiculous and like, yeah, huge bucket list items right there. So as far as networking and network marketing goes, are you ever afraid that you're sort of going to run out of network? Like you said, you got like 25% of your network from social media, so that'll probably keep changing as people share your photos and stuff. But as far as like your network of people that you actually know, are you ever afraid that you'll sort of run out of people? All of your network will have heard you talk about this, or will have signed up, or do you ever worry about running out of people to market to?
Definitely not. I would say when I first got started, I was in a really unique situation where my brother and sister had sponsored the whole family. And the very first person I ever showed this to yelled pyramid and went and told all my friends. So to this day, none of my friends have really ever seen it or joined my network marketing company. They trusted her more than me, which is unfortunate because obviously I feel like I've made a name for myself now, to the point where that same friend called me up about 3 years ago and said, I'm sorry, can I join? I want to go on vacation. I know, crazy. So from day one, I literally felt like I had no network at all.
Wow.
But that pushed me to then go learn how to develop new networks. And there are 7 billion people in the world. You're never going to run out of people, ever. You could talk to as many people as you want. You will never run out of people. I think that is the biggest fear in network marketing, is that you go through the people you feel comfortable talking to about it, and then you think, I'm out of people.
Yeah.
You are never out of people. If that means you need to get good at networking and going, I literally go to networking events. I book them all the time because I want to meet new people. I run errands on a daily basis, and that is where I find a big chunk of my people. And then secondly, my dad, having been an entrepreneur and a network marketer, he'd always said that just because somebody says no now, it just means it's not right for them now.
Yeah.
So I've probably done 800 business presentations. Yeah. Wow. Just myself. That's not even my team. That is just me personally showing people. And of those, people come back to me literally every week. I've got people reaching back out saying, hey, that thing that you showed me years ago, it wasn't right then, but I'm ready now. And so you never run out of people. And you need to also think it's not just me. I think so many times, especially, and I judge the public school district for that, is that we are trained to do things individually. We are trained to everything we do, from our job to whatever our interests are, we do it as an individual. And network marketing is the opposite of that. It is a team effort. So you can literally show a few people in this, and it can grow to millions through who they know. It's not about who you know. It's about who do they know. Because you need to be able to work together to go spread the word. So ultimately, no, you're never going to run out of people.
Well, since you said you've given over 800 presentations, does that ever get old for you? I'm just sort of curious.
No,
does it
my
ever?
Favorite story to
Okay,
tell.
perfect.
Okay. Okay. So people ask me all the time, why do I love this? So I always tell them, whether I was doing it when I was a teacher or doing it now, it's the same reason. I say, when I was a teacher, I would go to work every day, and it was just so mundane. Not that I didn't love my students, don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
But the idea that I knew exactly what hours I was going to be working. I knew exactly, which students I'd have, whether it changed each year. You always have, you got the clown, you got, the sweet one, you got the rebel. It never ends. And I knew exactly where my office was. I knew exactly how to handle emergencies, how much I was going to get paid that week. Everything was the same, and it never changed. And when I walk into a business presentation and I sit down with somebody, I look across the table from them and I think, is this the day my life is going to change forever? Are you going to be that person who's going to help me spread the word, and we are going to go make millions together? And I get so excited off of that potential. So that is why every single meeting is an exciting moment for me. And I think, are you going to change my life, and am I going to change yours today? And it was a destiny that we met.
That's really cool. Yeah. I think that's just that's a good way to think about it. I think that's I don't know. That's really cool for me. I don't know. But yeah, so coming back to the not right now thing, that's sort of what I said as well, just because I really do. I'm fully behind the idea of your product. I think it's a great product. I just think personally right now, I'm a college student, I'm 19 years old, and I don't really foresee myself traveling that much again. I'm in school for 9 months out of the year, and most of my circle is as well. So that's why I just figure it wasn't right for me now. But I do think this is a really cool opportunity, and I definitely plan on reaching back out in a couple of years and seeing where you are at. So who do you think network marketing is right for? Just as a business model, who do you think the ideal person is for network marketing? Because like you said, and I'm pretty sure this is consistent across network marketing, like 98% of people aren't gonna make it work for them. So who do you think it is right for?
Yes. So we feel like there are 3 different types of people that we especially feel like would be good in this business. One is the ambitious type, the second is the social type, and the third is the dissatisfied. So with the ambitious type, you've got people who will see this and will get to work. You know, busy people, oh my God, we love busy people, because you give something to a busy person and it'll get done, right? You want people that are either successful in real life, like, you know, if they're doctors, lawyers, business entrepreneurs. You want people who are in the armed forces. They know what it takes to be driven to what they're working towards. They're defending a country. Teamwork is especially crucial too. Those are definitely people that we look for. People who start out their own business, because as you know, network marketing is a business that is going to take a lot of effort and a caliber of confidence. You're looking for, if they had confidence to do whatever that they wanted to do in their careers before they saw network marketing, they are going to have the confidence to know that they're going to succeed at this. So for example, myself, I was going to pursue a PhD and become an art curator. They make 6 figures. And when I saw this, I thought, well, I'd rather make 7 figures. And one of my mentors, I think I told you, was a doctor. He had said network marketing is the equivalent to getting your doctorate. It is the same process. So know that whatever you do, if you're not successful in your everyday life, if you don't have ambition in your everyday life, you're not going to be successful at this. Secondly, we look for people who are social. It is a networking business. It is a business of relationships. You need to have strong networks, or you can develop them. I honestly came into this with no network, no influence whatsoever. Oh, and one more thing I'll say too about the ambitious type. They have credibility and they have influence.
Exactly.
Oh my God, that is so huge. Yep. So that is definitely somebody that we're looking for. On the social aspect, you know, like I talked about with the Avon lady, is you network naturally. You naturally have friends and family who wants to spend time with you. If you're that social butterfly that's constantly unafraid to meet new people, you will thrive in this, and that is a learned skill. So that is the great news about this. And then the number one person that we look for is somebody who's dissatisfied. Network marketing for the average person takes 7 to 10 years to be successful at it. So just know that if you are dissatisfied in what you're doing, then you are going to be somebody who will do this part-time on the side to get out of what it is you're doing now. And your reason for doing this has to go beyond the pain of going through it. So some of the pains that you're going to experience are people telling you no. Rejection hurts. They say it is like being hit by a car. It hurts. Say you have an idea and you run it by your friends and family and they tell you no. It is like a knife to the gut. It is like somebody telling you, I don't believe in you. But really the truth is they don't believe in themselves. And that's okay. You have to have the confidence to keep going. And so for that dissatisfied person, the pain of being in your current circumstance, whether it's you hate your job, whether it's you can't spend enough time with your kids as you want, is going to push you through so that you can achieve what you want to achieve out of this.
I totally agree. And for those of you who are like concerned about like your parents saying no, especially as young people who are probably listening to this, if your parents say no, it's for one of 2 reasons. First of which, probably for 1 or 2 reasons. First of which is because they don't want you to get hurt, and they care about you and they really don't want you to get hurt. The second reason is because they're hurt inside and they're reflecting that onto you. They don't want you to take a chance because they never took a chance, and they don't want you to be able to put yourself out there because they never took that chance themselves. So either way, if you go out there and you do it or you fail or whatever, the first group of parents, they're still going to love you because they loved you from the get-go. Second group of parents, they're broken on the inside, and that's just something beyond you, and that's not something that you can like focus on, and not something that you can get caught up on because there's nothing you can do about that. So if you're worried about what your parents think, don't be, because either they're there for you all the way or they're not because of something that's going on with them. So
can I add something to that?
Yes, please.
So because I work with so many millennials, we do have that objection a lot. You know, I'm scared of what my parents are going to think. And I do find that half the time the parents are really supportive because they've been successful and they fall into the ambitious, social, or dissatisfied category themselves. For the ones who the parents are not supportive, think of what I said about who are you listening to. You know, if you want the lifestyle that your parents have, by all means, follow, trust their advice. If you look at your parents and you say, but you don't live in the house I want to live in, you don't drive the car I want to drive, you don't spend enough time with me, maybe look to other people who would support this and follow them instead.
Yeah, I think that, again, just coming back to who you're listening to and being mindful of that, because, again, listen to the people who are in the places that you want to be. If your parents are living the life that you want to live yourself, then yeah, by all means, listen to them. Like, they're going to get you to that place, and their advice is going to track you to that location and to that lifestyle. But if they're not in the place you want to be, if you want to go to a different place, then find people who are in that place and start listening to them. So what's your number one pro and number one con to network marketing? I'm just sort of curious on what you personally enjoy most and what is sort of feels like a drag to you, or the stuff that you feel like you have to do.
So my favorite thing about network marketing, and I feel like this is the hurdle that everybody's going to have to cross. I think most people are good people, and I think the idea of network marketing comes down to you either believe you're helping people or you believe that you're selling something to your friends. That is the biggest hurdle. And I remember I was about a year in, and I had done it because I believed in the vision of it, of what it could create, but I didn't have any clue until one day I ended up showing one of my teaching assistants. And so as a teacher, I was making $50,000 a year. As my teaching assistant, she was probably making $25,000 to $30,000. Sure. So that's borderline poverty level, right? And I showed it to her, and she loved it. And she said, you have to come home. We have to show my husband. And so we drive to an area of Minneapolis, and I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I know it's not the hardest place, but there's some places you don't want to go to. Yeah. And we parked, and I'm looking at her house, and I literally remember running from my car into the house because we were in an area where I was a little bit nervous about being there, thinking I might get shot or kidnapped. And so we get into this house, and it should have been condemned. Like, it was literally, we're walking through the hallways, and there's plaster falling from the walls. It was raining that night, so there were just leaks coming through everywhere. And she and her husband sat on the couch, and I remember I had to stand in one spot on the floor because I thought if I moved, I'm going to fall through the rotten floorboards. Like, it was heartbreaking. And I showed them the presentation, and they looked at each other afterwards, and it was a look I'd never seen before. And it was just this moment that they shared. They didn't say any words, but I could just tell from their look that they were thinking about, we want to do this so bad. Yeah. We want this. We want our lives to change, but we know that for things to change, we're going to have to change, and we're not ready yet, and we don't have the confidence to go pursue this. And so they didn't end up joining. They still haven't to this day. They're still living in that house. And to me, that was the defining moment of, I'm not selling this to anybody. Yeah. I am saving people. Yeah. And my goal is just to throw as many people the life raft to get out of their current situation as I can. If you grab it, great. And if you don't, that's when the heartbreak comes in. That's the hardest part of what I do, is when people don't grab the life raft and they just sink. And I think I can't save everybody. So that, I think, for me is the greatest part and the hardest part. The greatest part is feeling like I walk around every day feeling like I'm an angel sent from God. Like, whose life am I going to change today? Who has been dying for something in their life to get better, and who's willing to work with me to get that? But the hardest part is seeing the faces on the people who don't believe that they're at the place yet where they can change their lives, and who don't trust me enough to get them there.
That's real. That's very real. That's a really powerful story as well. I think that's really, I don't know. Just, I like that story. It really hit home for me. So I've got a couple more questions for you before we head out. First of which, have you learned more from your mentors or from your own personal experience? Because you said you have a lot of mentors. This doctor, you said, has been a very big mentor for you. So do you think you've learned more from these people and their experiences, or from your own actual experiences of doing this?
So I would say it's 50-50. I would say, coming from a teaching background, obviously, you can stand up there and talk as much as you want. It's not going to make sense until the student actually goes and does it and has those experiences, right? So I feel like it comes in twofold. I had been to multiple trainings on network marketing, heard from very successful people, and they would say things, but it didn't resonate with me until I went through it myself. And they say you hear things at different levels. And I remember that training I was at on my 6th day of getting started, I had heard something from somebody. He said, the minute you stop making this about you is the minute it's going to start working. And I don't remember why I remembered that. Of everything I'd heard, to me it was like, you need to figure that idea out. Yeah. The minute you stop making it about you is the minute it starts working. And so I come back from North Carolina. I had just gotten back from an entrepreneurship seminar where I was a volunteer for the event. So Sarah Thompson opens for Tony Robbins, right? And so she was going to be leading this ambassador volunteer program. And I thought, I'm going to go volunteer because I want to meet Sarah Thompson. And that lady is amazing. It was literally like being in the presence of Tony Robbins himself as he was speaking through her. So amazing. But through that program, I had found that I had volunteered 14-hour days for 3 days in a row, and I wasn't even tired because it wasn't about me. And something I had learned at that program is if you're doing this for you, you're never going to push yourself as hard as you will for other people. Something somebody had said once was, they had asked, how do people become Navy SEALs? Like, what kind of caliber of a person does it take to be a Navy SEAL? Because we really do, I think a Navy SEAL is probably as high of a caliber of person as you're going to find, right? I mean, there are very few people who make the cut. Yeah. And the person who had answered had said, I look at all the people who come in to become Navy SEALs, and you look at that guy who was super successful in, his everyday life, was somebody who other people just really looked up to, that business guru, and he comes in to be a Navy SEAL and he fails. And he says, I've got the people who come in like right out of jail and they're tough, they've got tattoos and they fail. And he says, what is it about it that the people you think are going to succeed and the people who are so macho, so tough, fail? And then he says the people who succeed, it's that scrawny guy who's been through the trenches, who has been beaten down, who's standing in the rain, who is seconds from giving up, and he has the courage to help his friend next to him. That is the person who becomes a Navy SEAL. So the same thing is true with network marketing. You will never do this enough for yourself. Same thing with me. I told you I got really good at sales. I built this by myself. I built my team from individual sales for the first 5 years in this. But the minute I started focusing on how this is going to help other people and helping them achieve their dreams, I work harder for them than I ever would for myself. I was out doing an appointment at 11:30 last night for one of my team members, and I do not regret it at all. I will bend over backwards to help them achieve their dreams, and that is the true network marketer.
Wow. That's really powerful. And I think going beyond and seeing sort of the bigger picture of things and really what you're creating rather than just the individual steps for yourself, really just seeing the opportunities that you're providing for other people is definitely a powerful thing. And that's really what I look to as well, really like the doors I'm opening for other people rather than the doors I'm opening for myself. So what would you tell an 18-year-old listener, maybe somebody who just got out of high school, who is thinking network marketing, something I'm kind of interested in maybe, but I'm not really sure if this is right for me. Like, what would you say to this person?
Well, given that I work with so many college students, I do get that a lot. Some things that I would look back on is, for me, now that I'm going for my MBA, I have learned that network marketing is the lowest risk opportunity to go and develop those skills that you need to be successful. The things that I'm learning in business school, everything that I'm learning, I attributed to having learned before in my network marketing business. From a standpoint of, it will just make you better at everything you do. You will get better at building yourself as a leader. You will get better at so I actually got promoted 4 times in my teaching job from the skills that I had learned in network marketing, to the point where I remember my last year teaching and I thought, I don't fit in here anymore. I feel like I am able to go and, work on a larger mission than teaching. And not that I do not want to put down teaching at all. No. But I just feel like, that was that last year, I had actually made it to the very top of my industry. So I had worked in after-school teaching. That was my profession. And I believe that the skills I had learned in network marketing had gotten me to the point where I was able to communicate. I was able to provide vision for people on such a large scale that I became a licenser for the state of Minnesota. So I would actually go out and license school programs. And then they had me teach. So I would go to different areas and teach people on how to lead teams. They actually still have me coming back in October to come teach on it, but that is the highest caliber, and I thought I've reached my capacity in teaching. I need to go on now and go, share my story with other people, with multiple people. So whatever it is you want to achieve out of life, network marketing will give you that leadership base to go and do that. There was also a year that it was really hard in my teaching industry. We had gone through some student suicides and a school shooting, and I actually wondered if I was to the place where I wanted to be there anymore. And so I had applied for 43 jobs in marketing, and because of the skills I had learned from just my side network marketing business, I was offered 42 of those positions. Wow. So you can actually get in and just develop the skills you need to go, and if network marketing isn't your career choice, go do something else, and it'll give you that basis for that. The last thing I'll touch on is that Robert Kiyosaki, known as the mentor to the millionaires, says that network marketing is the perfect business. It is low risk. It is something that you can get started for maybe a few $100 to a few $1,000s. And it can make you millions, or you can just develop that skill set to start moving from the employee standpoint to the entrepreneurial standpoint without investing hundreds of thousands of dollars like it would cost you to start up a regular business. So I support it 1,000%. I think whether you just want to learn or whether you actually want to go and change your lifestyle, this can provide you that opportunity.
Perfect. Well, I'm glad you brought up Robert Kiyosaki, because I shout him out nearly every single podcast. I always get guests who mention the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I mention that book all the time because that book has had a huge impact on my life. I read it last, I would say October maybe. I picked it up at a thrift store on campus, and it really, I buzzed through it in like a day, and it was just so monumental for me, just because it really opened my mind to all these different opportunities. Like before reading this book, I really did think that life was you go to school, you get a high-paying job, you work 60, 80 hours a week, you make like 6 figures, and then you get to 65, you retire, and you like move to Florida. And that was what I thought life was.
That's what it is.
That's what I thought. That's the way I thought you were successful. Is if you got. For me, it was going to be a high-paying computer programming job. I was going to go to school. I'll learn how to do computer science, even though I didn't really like it that much. I was just doing it because that's what my dad did. And I was just going to do that, and then I was going to be successful that way. But I read this book, and I was like, wow, there are so many opportunities out there. There's so many things that I could do that would be so much more enjoyable. I could learn so much more from them, and I wouldn't have to be in a seat for 80 hours a week. So that book, I'm glad you mentioned him, because I really, really like to rep that book so much. And it's literally $7 on Amazon, and I think it's just such a high ROI. Like, where are you going to see returns like that? Like $7 for something that could potentially change your life. I think that's huge. And then also just the fact that this is so low cost. I mean, to join a network marketing company can be like even under $100 for some. Like it's so low barrier to entry, even for a young person. I think it is, even just to learn those skills. Like, it can be a really valuable way to learn if marketing is something that you're good at. If you want to develop your marketing skills, it can be a good way to do that as well. So I think it can be definitely a good opportunity for people who are trying to get their foot in the door with like a business or something, but don't really have an idea, or maybe they just don't want to they want to come into something that's sort of already kind of set up for them, rather than like come up with an idea from scratch and sort of make that happen. If maybe they're not like the most creative type, it can be a good place, I believe. So now we've got a couple questions that I like to ask all of my guests, kind of a little bit selfish, just because I like to know the answer to these, but I hope they provide value for you guys as well. So the first of these is, how do you stay motivated?
All right. Well, for me, I'm the same thing we teach to everybody who comes into network marketing. So when I get somebody started in their business, the first thing I ask them is, why did you get started? Because I'm going to be real honest. If you are the typical network marketer, you're probably not going to make almost any money your first year. It is all going to be volunteer work.
Yep.
And, you know, you work a hard day, 9 to 5, come home at night. What's easier, watching TV or going out and sharing your business idea? And you need to know why you're doing this. And as I described to you, you know, I grew up in a family actually where we always struggled between time and money freedoms. Yep. You know, we either had a lot of time and no money or a lot of money and no time. And when I became an adult, actually went and became a teacher where I didn't have time or money, ironically. But I just remembered that I wanted to achieve that. I was so fortunate to get to meet people who were successful in achieving both time and financial wealth, and I thought, I want that. That to me is worth working for. And the motivation comes from looking back on my life and saying, I'm sorry that I taught students wrong for 14 years. Now my goal is to go and teach them the right way. Yeah. So the motivation for me is, you know, not only going out and sharing that vision, but, you know, working with others to help them achieve their hopes and dreams. You know, when my business partners get started and they tell me my goal is to go and, you know, have more time to spend with my family, I want to help them achieve that. Yeah. So the motivation just comes from my reason is bigger than the little steps it's going to take to get there. You know, the success just starts with a single step, and it's just that day, it's just repeated over and over again. It's like running a marathon. Yeah. You know, it's just one step in front of the other. Is it easy? Of course not. But it's simple. Yeah. If I just every single day, if I just go out and show 3 to 5 people, I will achieve what I want to achieve. And to me, that is worth it.
That's really powerful. And I think just if you're trying to build anything, if you're trying to grow any kind of passive income source, any kind of business, for most things at least, especially for what I'm doing on YouTube, podcasting, Instagram, all that stuff, there's a ton of work that goes in at the beginning before you start seeing any paychecks. And I mean, that might not be the case for everybody, but before you start seeing like serious money, there's a lot of work you're gonna have to put in. And if you don't have that motivation, if you don't have that bigger vision of helping people or whatever it is for you, it's going to be really hard to stick with it through all that time where you're not making money, much money, if any money at all. So that's definitely, I mean, you gotta have a bigger picture if you want to stick with something through all the beginning tough times.
Can I add one more thing to that? So somebody had said something recently. So the motivation I just talked about had driven me for the past 5.5 years. And somebody said something recently that just really caught my attention. He said, we're always so focused on why we're doing this. What is the end goal? He says, what if you stopped doing this? Like, what if you didn't strive for this? What would your life look like if you gave up on this idea? And to me, that was even a bigger motivator was, oh my God, like I just know too much to go back, you know? Wow. Like, what's the alternative if I don't do this? Yeah. Then what have I got? Like, I got to work the 9 to 5. I got to wait till I'm 65, 70 to retire. It just seems so much worse than if I just stick it out and keep showing, you know, a few people every day. Yeah. To me, the motivation is, what if?
Wow, that's really powerful. I definitely hadn't thought of that, and that's definitely a concept to keep up here to think about whenever I'm feeling not particularly motivated. So now the next question, do you have any habits that have served you particularly well? Now this can be in business, in life, just really any sort of habits that you've developed that really have been an asset to you.
Yeah, so to consider if you are thinking about joining a network marketing company, they say is look at the training program. That is a huge one. Almost 50% of what they recommend in your network marketing company is look at the training program. And I was very fortunate to choose a company where the training program is phenomenal. Our founder, Wayne Nugent, used to actually, they say he is the master network marketer. He can go out and start a new network marketing company, and within 6 months is earning over $500,000 passively. So he obviously knew what he was doing when he founded our company, and so he created an amazing training program where the skills that I've learned are just from the daily habits that I've been doing. So the things that I do on a daily basis, they say read 10 pages a day. So that is doable from anybody. However busy you are, you can read 10 pages a day of a personal development book. So that would be like the Robert Kiyosaki books, something by Tony Robbins, something that is going to put you a little bit over. They call it the slight edge. So everybody has the same 24 hours in a day. It's what do you do with those 24 hours that are giving you that extra? And it's not huge. Like, that is the crazy part. You know, that 10 pages a day takes 10 minutes. And every night there's a book sitting on my book stand. So right now it is Never Eat Alone. And it talks about how the wealthy live their lives through networking. It's their networks, they're their net worths. And how they're able to benefit each other because of who they know. So developing networks, obviously network marketing would help you do that, is a concept that will ultimately lead to wealth. Another habit that I have is every morning I get up, granted at the time I want. I'm working on getting up a little bit sooner. And I set my YouTube videos to Tony Robbins, and I listen to Tony Robbins videos as I'm getting ready. So that just puts me in kind of an uplifted spirit. It makes me think like I can conquer the day. And then throughout the day, I have goals that I'm trying to achieve. They say make a goal board. The reason for that is so not only does it inspire you to see it every day and achieve your dreams, but it also reminds you you're not in the place that you want to be. That is huge. My goal board, I came up with a really cool concept for it where I took black and white photos of everything that I want to achieve, and when I achieve it, I replace it with a color photo of me actually in the picture. Wow. So I just made a new one. That's what it looks like, and I just came back from Bali, which was my lifelong dream, was to go to Bali, and it is a picture of me in Bali, and it's in color, and it's right there.
That's awesome. I really like that idea of a goal board. I might have to start incorporating that. And coming back to books for a second, so many people that I hear from, one of the big things I recommend and tell people to do is read more. Like, there's so much you can learn from books, especially at a young age. Like there's so much to learn about business, about entrepreneurship, about just life in general, that books can really be a good source of information. But I don't have time so much, and I think that what you said about everybody has 24 hours in a day. Like, everybody has the same 24 hours. It's what you choose to do with it. Like, of course, granted, there's going to be single parents out there that have a ton of responsibilities. They've got to support a family on their own. Like, that's mad respect to you. Like, that's hard stuff. But saying that you don't have time for something, I think a much more accurate thing to say is that it's not a priority for you right now. Like everybody has the same 24 hours, but it's like, what are your priorities and what are you choosing to do with that time? Because saying you don't have time, that just seems like a stupid excuse to me, because everybody has the same amount of time. It's just what you do with it. So I think that's a good mindset for people to have. At least in my experience, that's been beneficial for me. As far as books go, have there been any books, again, that can be business, holistic, that have had a significant impact on you? I know you said you're reading Never Eat Alone right now, but other than that, just books that have been pretty pivotal for you?
Yeah, I would say a few really stand out. Rich Dad Poor Dad, like we talked about, I think was the very first personal development book I had ever read. And it resonates just because you're going to fall in both categories of, having the educated dad, where it's go to school, get good grades, so you can get into a good college and get a good job, versus, the wealthy dad, where it's like, no, start your own business. And it's learning from that was definitely an eye-opener for me. Secrets of the Millionaire Mind is the most amazing book I think I've ever read.
Really?
The very first part talks about how everybody in life is like a tree, and you look at the fruits of your tree, and are they, firm and ripe, or are they rotten? And everybody thinks about changing the fruits. So if you think about your life, do you live in the house you want to live in? Do you have the time you want to have? Do you have enough money in your account? And those are your fruits. But you can't change the fruits, right? You got to change the roots. And so that's your internal process. What are you thinking about on a daily basis? How are you educating yourself so that you can change the outside world? And I feel like I'm a perfect example of that, is when I first saw network marketing, making an average salary, $50,000 a year, in debt, never had any time or money. And it's like I started learning from successful people. I started going to seminars where I would learn the things I needed to learn to start changing my outer world. So that's definitely an amazing book to have as well. And then, a book I love is The Secret. But it talks about how what you think is what you think about the most is what becomes your world.
Yeah.
And so everybody focuses on the negative, it's like, I don't have this, I don't have that. Well, then you're just going to get more of that, what you don't have. Yeah. And so the idea that what you focus on expands, and I think, again, I'm the perfect example of that is, being a teacher, being so committed to what I was doing as a teacher. That was what I kept getting. It's like, okay, you're focusing on your teaching job. Well, you're just going to keep getting more hours in your teaching job. And to the point where I just had to make that cut. And I said, no more. Like, I need to focus on my business. And I quit. And so then it was like, okay, you're focusing on your business. All of a sudden, your business is growing. So I definitely feel like 90% of this game is just a mindset. If you can focus on training your brain to think a certain way, to believe certain things, your outer world will become a reflection of your inner world.
Those are some really good books. I definitely need to add most of those to my reading list. I've heard of all of them, but I haven't actually made the time to read them. And I'll link all those up in the show notes below as well for this episode over at applecrider.com /017, I believe, because it's episode 17 of Young Smart Money. And then lastly, where can people connect with you, find out more about you, find out what you're up to? Feel free to use this time to give people a place to connect with you.
Yes. Definitely. Well, I wrote it down just so, because my spelling of my name is weird. So there's me. You can zoom in. All right. So most of what I do is on social media. So you can definitely connect to me through Facebook. It's Karalyn, Cassie's my nickname, Swanson, from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Otherwise, kvkwv@gmail.com is my website that I use, or my email that I use. Okay. So you can reach out to me through that. Definitely feel free to send me a message or reach out if you're interested in starting up your own network marketing company. I would love to hear from anybody.
Well, I just wanted to thank you very much for your time and appearing on the show today. I really do. I respect your time, and I appreciate that you chose to spend it here and teaching our audience, teaching myself about network marketing, because I think it's a very valuable thing. It's a good thing to know about just in general, because as you said, 50% of people in the U.S. are gonna join one at one point. So before you or one of your close friends does it, you might as well have a good idea of what you're actually signing up for and how to maybe make that successful for yourself if that's something that you do want to take seriously. So I just want to thank you again for your time and for being here, and I really do appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for having me on. And
thank you again, Karalyn, for being on the show. I had so much fun interviewing you. I learned so much from this episode, and I hope our audience did as well, because there was a ton of value in here and a ton of information about multi-level marketing and network marketing that I had just never heard before. And it was really good to hear somebody's story who's been doing it for over 6 years. So that was very valuable for me. And again, I thank you very much for your time. And for our money pun of the day, where do fish go to borrow money? The loan shark. Next week, we'll be back at it with another entrepreneur who is doing amazing stuff as a young person. It's going to be phenomenal, so definitely stay tuned for that next Tuesday. But if you can't wait until then for your next dose of financial literacy content, I've got a ton of free resources for you. So here they go. The first of which is my website, applecrider.com, where you're going to find the show notes for this episode. It's going to be at applecrider.com/017. That is applecrider.com/017, because this is episode 17 of Young Smart Money. Next is also going to be in my website. That is going to be a free online course on how to invest your first $100 from the comfort of your smartphone. So if you've got $100, if you're a young person and you're like, I want to get started investing, I want to get started making money, and I have my smartphone right here. This course, it's a no-brainer. It's going to answer all of your questions that you might think are dumb questions. You might think these questions are so ground level, but it's going to answer like, what is a stockbroker? What is a stock? How do you purchase a stock? What do you want to look for in a stock? And what should your first $100 investment actually be? So be sure to check that out. That's going to be on my website. The red button that says free course, or applecrider.com/course is where you will find that. Lastly, over on YouTube, we have got nearly 200 uploads, which is just phenomenal. I'm so excited to hit that benchmark. But about 200 uploads on anything entrepreneurial, credit cards, or personal finance related. You're gonna find it over there. That's gonna be youtube.com/Apple Crider. So those are some great places to find some free resources while you wait for the next episode of Young Smart Money. And I really do want to thank you for checking out Young Smart Money today with me, your host, Apple Crider. And then before I go, I just want to challenge you to try to incorporate one of these mindset shifts that we talked about later in the episode into your life. So when we were talking about how to stay motivated, Karalyn brought up some really great strategies, like thinking about where you would be if you had never started or if you had to quit what you were doing. So I think that's a really, really valuable thing among the other sort of mindsets that we talked about. And I think just trying to incorporate one of these a little bit into your life can really make a big difference on sort of how you see things and sort of your motivation and the habits that you form in general. So I want to challenge you to try to implement one of these mindset shifts that we talked about. And definitely let me know how that goes. Shoot me a DM on Instagram at Apple Crider Official. Shoot me an email at apple@applecrider.com. Really anywhere you can find me, definitely let me know which of these mindset shifts was most effective for you and sort of how you were able to implement that into your own life. Well, guys, thanks again for checking out Young Smart Money today on this very nice Tuesday. I appreciate your time and I'll see you next week. Hey guys, thanks for checking out the video. If you want to learn more about investing, I've got an entire free online video lecture course down below. Check it out.